So it's been announced in Sydney that we're going to have to endure another 4 weeks of lockdown. So no riding motorcycles, more episodes from this garage. Well, that's just fun. Hey everyone, welcome to Roads of Oz. My name is Matt, and on this episode we're going to be talking about one of my biggest disappointments on the channel. That is this Ducati. Not the Ducati itself, but actually my progress with it. So a quick rundown on the history of it. This bike hasn't been running for 3 years now. And if you take a look, no motor. So about 2 years ago, I decided to get the motor sorted. I pulled it apart. The further we looked into the motor, the more we found was wrong with it. So 18 months ago, I decided to get the motor fully rebuilt and had to develop a plan, and nothing happened of it. Then about 12 months ago, I actually come up with a proper plan to actually save the money for it and actually had to make sure I had the funds to actually get the job done. Anyway, that takes time. Rebuilding a bevel motor is definitely not cheap, as anyone who's tried to undertake this will find out, and I was no different. Of course, I'm not a mechanic, and I don't really go too deep into motors. I'll do basic stuff, but once you get into the bowels of a motor, it's really well above my expertise level. I left the motor with an expert. Problem is, he probably only does about one engine a month, and he had a backlog, and that's not his fault. We could blame COVID, we could blame a lot of things, but like I said in the previous video, these motors are quite specialised, and you really want someone who knows what they're doing. Now, I did get a lot of support and say, oh, you should have a go at it yourself. And I looked into it, and if you have a go at these motors yourself, especially here in Australia with such limited support with these motors, you pull it apart and you realise you're in deep and you take it to an expert, they generally don't want to touch it, because even stripping them down requires a lot of attention. So something I did want to get into, and by the time you pay, a couple of $1,000s just for the parts alone for this, you really don't want to screw that up. So again, no progress, but we're going to look at some of the fails I've had along the way, because I did have intentions just to do small jobs that this bike needed doing, and I'll show you every time I've screwed up to date. So I haven't really done too much on it. I've just been saving, as you can see from the previous videos. But today I thought I might change it up a little bit, and I might start looking into the electrical. Pretty much the only thing I've updated on the Darmah is the rectifier, because the rectifier packed it in on the last big ride. I changed it over, I thought it was fine, and it worked fine. Definitely an aftermarket one, not your OEM replacement. I went aftermarket because it was a reputable rectifier, and the OEM ones were known for failure. Anyway, on today's video, we're going to get under the bike, and if you see these lovely fuses here, I'm going to lay down because it's easier, they're horrible, and I want to update those. I want to put a new fuse block in there, so we're going to have a look and see how we can do that, see what's available, and see if I can swap it for a blade style fuse, because they're just easier to come by. So I'll take the blade fuses out, and I'll just lay them down in order of how I removed them. Well, that one just fell out. That's half the problem. Now, this isn't a hard task, and as you can see, most of the connections are have got a female type connector. So what I'll be doing is just measuring approximately, so it's about, what are we, 45 mil from there to there. So I've got to find a 45 mil, a blade fuse terminal block, 45 mil mounting points, and we'll see what's out there. The one thing these Ducatis have in common with Ferraris from the same era is the shitty fuses they used to use. So the idea was to buy a nice fuse holder. The Ducati Darmah only has 4 fuses in it. We'll have a quick look at that. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it properly. Oh, there it is. So these fuses here. So there's only 4 of them. So I thought, I'll get a better fuse holder, so one that uses your more modern type of fuses, far more reliable, less prone to blowing. You take that fuse holder out, and this one is way too big for it. The old one finishes about here, so you've got to make up a plate that goes onto there. Ideally, I want to do some more research and actually find something that works better than trying to mock something up and have it only be half as good. You'll see in the corner here, there's a spare bevel motor. And before I look too deeply in it, the plan was to pull this motor down and actually do it here and have a go at it myself. And I thought if I screw that motor up, I can take it to an expert. So I went out to Super Cheap Auto and bought this lovely engine stand. The motorcycle engine wouldn't have mounted properly to it, so I had this plan in my head. I'll get some L channel from Bunnings and modify it so I can put it into the engine and mount it onto that. And I told my mechanic this, and he said, "Matthew, how are you going to split the cases if you've got it bolted, holding it all together?" At this stage, I realised I was out of my depth, so I'll book that in with him, and hopefully by September we might get that motor rebuilt along with the other one. And later on down the track, I'll show you why I need that second motor. Anyway, sorry I can't get you more content. With lockdowns, I can't even go out and get that other motor sorted. Lockdowns just made it near impossible. I'm in a local government area where we're not even meant to leave the area. We're not meant to travel more than 10 kilometres outside, away from our home. So I'm playing by the rules. It's very frustrating, but rules are rules. But anyway, I haven't given up on the Darmah. It will happen, but this will lead into a project I spoke a little bit about earlier in the year, and that's the Ducati 600 SS. Got a future episode. As we all know, earlier in the year, I bought a Ducati 600 Super Sport, and it was meant to be a minor project for myself. And next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Because I've had so many failed starts on a few projects, I've bought some projects, got them up to a certain level, then sold them just a touch early because I got a good offer for them, or I've got the attention span of a toddler, so I'm easily distracted. The Ducati Super Sport I've actually stuck with and really want to get it back on the road, so I've been quite focused on it. So I am going to start releasing some content for the Super Sport. To all the people who follow my channel for bevel content, please stay with me. It will come eventually. I'm not getting rid of these bikes. I have no interest in getting rid of these bikes, and I'll tell you why in another episode. But for now, thanks very much for sticking with me. If you're in lockdown in Sydney, stay safe. We'll get through this eventually. And if you're feeling alone, depressed, please reach out and contact someone. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you found this video interesting, please like, share. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next vid.